Hello, hello, guys! Agora é que nós vamos para a prática geral. Geral. Agora vocês vão botar essas mentes para trabalhar. Olha só, dá uma olhada neste quadro. Este quadro aqui tem tudo para a gente praticar. E a pergunta é bem clara: What do they do? Né? O que eles fazem? What do they do? Aí é que tá. What time? Where? When? Where? When? What time? Vamos lá. Right? Ready? Go. What time does tomorrow's alarm clock go off? His alarm clock or Morrow's alarm clock goes off at 6. At 6 o'clock, at 6 a.m., right? What time does Kathy's alarm clock go off? Perfect. Incluíram um to, né? Her alarm clock goes off at 6 too. What time does Chang's alarm clock go off? His alarm clock goes off at 7. Perfect. At 7 o'clock, at 7 a.m. All right. How long does John stretch? How long does he stretch? He stretches for 5 minutes. Perfect. How long do John and Kathy stretch? They stretch for 5 minutes. Perfect. They, right? How long does Bob stretch? He stretches for 2 minutes. Perfect. How long do Danny and Paul stretch? They stretch for 2 minutes. Pode colocar também um to, porque é igual Bob, mas tudo bem, right? They stretch for 2 minutes too. All right. What time does Morrow stand up? Morrow stands up at 6. Lembrando que stand up não é simplesmente o fato de levantar da cama na hora que acorda, só o ato de levantar, né? Eu estou praticando com vocês primeiro esse verbo que é geral, que é só levantar, né? É o contrário de sentar, é levantar, stand up. Lembra do up, upstairs, ó. Stand up, para cima, right? Levantar. Tem outro verbo quando a gente está deitado, que fala assim, vai, levanta, levanta. Eu levanto às 5 horas da manhã. Aí a gente usa um outro verbo, mas isso deixa para depois, alright? Então vamos lá. What time does Morrow stand up? He stands up at 6. What time do John and Kathy stand up? They stand up at 6. Perfect. Or they stand up at 6 too. Or they also stand up at 6. All right. What time what time does Danny stand up? He also stands up at 6. He stands up at 6 too. Or he stands up at 6 a.m. Tá tudo certo. All right. What do John Deixa eu ver se dá para a gente praticar com os dois. What do Morrow and John do before breakfast? What do Morrow and John do before breakfast? They wash their hands and faces. Se botou face, também não tem problema. All right? They wash their hands and face. Or they wash their hands and faces. Tá? What does Bob do before breakfast? He washes his hands and face. Perfect. When does Danny wash his hands and face? He washes his hands and face before breakfast. Perfect. Perfect. Where does Danny wash his hands and face? Very good. He washes his hands and face in the bathroom. Perfect. Oh, where do the students study? They study in the classroom. They study in the school or at school. Tá tudo certo. All right? Uh, 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 when does Morrow brush his teeth? When? He brushes his teeth after meals, depois de cada refeição, right? Tem gente que escova os dentes de manhã e à noite. Tem gente que gosta de cada coisa que come, escova os dentes. Gosto é gosto, alright? When does Kathy brush her teeth? She brushes her teeth after meals. All right, depois das refeições também, too. All right. When does Paul brush his teeth? He brushes his teeth after meals. Uh-huh. When does Chang brush his teeth? Estão lembrando da expressão? I have no idea. Né? Não tenho nenhuma ideia. I have no idea. Não está escrito aqui, né? Perfect. When does Tina brush her teeth? I have no idea. Sorry. Sorry. I have no idea. When does Beth floss? She flosses before bedtime. Perfect. When does John floss? He flosses after meals. All right. When do Danny and Paul floss? They floss after meals. Perfect. When does Beth comb her hair? She combs her hair After shower. All right. When does Bob comb his hair? He combs his hair before breakfast. Perfect. When does Danny comb his hair? I have no idea. Right, right. What? What does Morrow study? He studies science. Perfect. Does he study science? Yes, he does. What does he study? He studies science. Where does he study science? He studies science on YouTube. Perfect. On, né? Porque é na tela, certo? On YouTube. Does he study science in the classroom? No, he doesn't. Where does he study science? He studies science on YouTube. Perfect. What does Tina study? She studies geography. Perfect. What does Danny study? He studies math. Perfect. When do Bob and Peter do their homework? When? They do their homework before dinner. Aí você pode achar estranho. Tudo bem, aqui eu errei, né? O professor erra também. Eu tinha que ter colocado before dinner aqui para Tina, né? Coloquei para o Peter. Mas o adulto também pode ter homework. Homework não é só exercício de escola, né? É um trabalho que você traz para casa, tá? Então é homework também. Alright? Perfect. When does Morrow take a shower? He takes a shower before lunch. What does Morrow do before lunch? He takes a shower. Perfect. What does Tina do before dinner? She takes a shower. Perfect. What does Peter do before breakfast? He takes a shower. Perfect. What do Danny and Paul do before dinner? They take a shower. Perfect. When do Kathy and John watch TV? They watch TV before bedtime. All right. When does Peter watch TV? He watches TV before bedtime too. Perfect. What does Morrow drink? He drinks coffee. What do Tina and Bob drink? They drink coffee and milk or coffee with milk. Perfect. What does Peter drink? He drinks water. Perfect. When or what time? Now, what time does John have lunch? He has lunch at 11. What time does Danny have dinner? He has dinner at 8. What time does Peter have dinner? I have no idea. What time does Chang have breakfast? He has breakfast at 8. What does he have at 8? He has breakfast. Perfect. Who has breakfast at 8? Chang does. Who has dinner at 7? Peter does. All right. What time does Beth come home? She comes home at 11. Perfect. Como assim ela vem para casa às 11? Ela pode ter ido ao mercado e vem às 11, right? Vem de volta. Comes or comes back. All right? What time what time does Kathy come from work? She comes from work at 9. What time do Danny and Paul come from school? They come from school at 8. Talvez tenha tido um jogo, né? E eles ficaram na escola até mais tarde. Ou então, what time do they come to school? They come to school at 8 in the morning, right? All right. What time does Beth eat breakfast? She eats breakfast at 7. Perfect. What time do Liza and Chang eat lunch? They eat lunch at 2. Perfect. Perfect. Então agora olha só. Aqui eu botei só para a gente lembrar, né? What do they do? What does he do? What do I do? I do this, then I do that. After I do this, I do that, right? After I take a shower, I comb my hair. After I do my homework, I take a shower, right? Você vai juntando as frases. After or before I eat breakfast, I wash my hands and face. Then, I eat breakfast. Then I go to school, tá? É uma forma de usando mais as palavrinhas. A ideia era essa, praticamos o quadro todo. Eles vão aparecer de novo nos exercícios, tá? Então presta atenção aí, capricha, depois volta para a gente continuar. See you later, everybody!